system. Bump it in your system. Everybody will get it poppin'. We gon' keep it rockin'.
Power 95, where music lives. The views expressed in the following program aren't necessarily those of Power 95. Ladies Room. Come see you compliments. Renwick Thompson and Company Limited. Agents for Western Union.
2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 3 is 6.
Education multiplies their chances and places the world of opportunity in their hands. No matter where they are in the world, make sure they're prepared for their journey back to school with Western Union. School fees, books, room and board, whatever the reason. Knowledge, independence, opportunity. Western Union, moving money for better.
Well, here we are again, up and running for another beautiful Wednesday, final Wednesday in. Let me just balance myself, yeah. Hold on, guys, my lip feels kind of dry. Need to moisturize. I need my lip gloss. Hold on. Yeah. Have you guys shared us yet? Come on in the room. We need to have the talk today, man. Hold on, let me just share and then I'll be with you. Okay, there we go. Good morning, Sonia. How are you? Well, I said I better have prize to give away for being early. I'm thinking about something to make it more interesting and more interactive. Carnival is coming up. And probably might get somebody to, sponsor something, Anyways, thanks, Jay. Yeah, so good morning. Who's here already? But stand up, let you see my bodies. Listen, come on, Muppety. What you want to see? Stand up to see my bodies. Years I ain't hear that word, your bodies. I swear, no matter my mood when I come here, I always find something to laugh about. I have not heard nobody use that word in a minute. Your body. Oh, let me see your bodies. Well, people really just take them people words and them and anyways, thanks for the laugh, Janelle, because this morning has been heavy, man. That topic this morning, that situation, that scenario. A matter of fact, from since yesterday or last night when I read it, it's been like weighing heavy on my mind. Morning, Shanti. Morning, Linda. Morning, Jay. Morning, Val. Marianne. Good morning, Janelle. Morning, Sonia. Here we up and running one more time. Morning, Lindy. Happy Wednesday. Good morning, Dawn. Good morning, Valerie. Honika. Good morning, Island Daddy. Who is Island Daddy Grenada? What does Island Daddy do? Island Daddy, what do you do? Morning, Deborah Crooney. How are you? Thanks, Jay. Morning, Queen Bee. She's not killing me with his bodies. Morning, Shariah. Good morning, and Frock and bodies. Morning to my YouTubers, those of you viewing via YouTube. Good morning. And those of you listening via radio 95.1, 95.3. Top of the morning to you as well. Who's that? Doesn't looking bad at all. Yeah. Morning, Glendolyn. Glendolyn, listen, you're doing an amazing job with your daughter. I swear, after I saw you posted her picture, I'm like, that's who I saw. Was it at some event? I saw her at. I'm like, and I didn't even make her out. She lost the baby weight, looking like a beautiful young lady. I can't turn the camera around. The person gone already. Morning, Susie. Susie already showed it. Sheen. You can't go wrong. It's always Sheen. Yeah, Sheen for the money. I think it's Reggae Fest. Yeah, Reggae Fest. Because she greeted Debbie, and I was like, oh, it's a beautiful young. I swear I did not make her out. I did not. Brands, I swear you're falling on the wrong time. Oh my gosh. Morning, Jackie. Morning, Terrence Wells. Morning, Samuel. You lost. Yes, Samuel. All the baby weight you lost went to your head, because I swear when I passed you this morning, your head looked. Yes, this morning or yesterday morning? I'm like, wait, Sam head getting more big? What? So any weight you lost, it gone straight to your head. Like Denise holding out on me, Brent. She had a visitor and she didn't even come to the studio and do any introduction. Grenada has some really nice looking men and beautiful women, you know, but sometimes it's the personalities and the attitudes that make people come across as you know. You ever seen a handsome or a beautiful woman, and then when they open their mouth, you're like, alrighty then, nice to know you, nice to meet you. Trust me, we got some beautiful people on this rock, really beautiful people, but always, guys, this morning is like so heavy. Brands, if you have time, I wish you would be able to call in and share your thoughts on the situation in the room. The young ladies listening, and you do give really good advice, you know. If you guys have not read it as yet, it's a bit long, so I'm gonna try to condense it as much as possible, but I'm not sure if you guys were listening from when I started this morning to now. And I was on the phone last evening with almost an hour, you know, speaking to the young lady who sent this in. And it's like she just sent it in for me to share. But I personally thought, you know, I needed to respond, because most time when people send in the scenarios, I don't really discuss it in the messenger with them. I would tell them thanks for sending, and I will post, and then I have the actual discussion on radio. But I just felt compelled last evening to reach out to her, you know, to talk to her. Because sometimes people you might just ask a person, hey, how you doing? And it's like it opens the floodgate for them to start telling you, oh my gosh, the good, the bad, the ugly. Sometimes people just want to talk. But it is hard to speak to people because y'all don't know the meaning of confidentiality. Y'all don't know the meaning of, if somebody comes to you with something so deep and so personal, to keep it to yourself. People want to speak. People are going through a lot, whether it's in relationships, whether personal, or whatever, financial. People are going through a lot. And sometimes you just need somebody to listen. You just want somebody to tell you, you know what? It'll be okay. This too shall pass. But people are afraid. People are afraid to speak, because while you're there relaying your situation, y'all are busy either recording. If I send you a voice note, you're busy forwarding. Or if we have a conversation, you're busy screen grabbing or screenshotting. That people are afraid. And it's sad, because everybody needs somebody to talk to. No man is an island. You can't do everything by yourself. You can't figure out everything by yourself. Everybody needs somebody you can talk to. That is why I'm glad for my little tribe, my little bit of people that you can, you know, open up to. Everybody, especially being a woman, you have so much to deal with. Family, life, job, life, personal issues, things your body go through. It's a lot that you go through on a daily basis. Sometimes you just need the support. And sometimes you think, okay, the person that I'm with, you'll be able to share with them, and they'll be your best friend. But sometimes even the people you deal with, you can't even trust them to speak to them on personal things, because they too, whether they want fames or they're trying to get other woman, will go repeat certain things you say to them in confidence to other people. So it's like trust on this rock, it's like the hardest thing to find. It's like the hardest thing to find. Sometimes all people need is somebody to say, it's gonna be okay. Sometimes they don't even need anything. They might need little assistance, but in other cases, they don't really need anything except a listening ear, you know? Samuel, you're not the only one. I've heard so many people say they'd rather die from stress than speak on it to anybody. Why is it so hard? Burns, that's exactly where I'm at these days. You know? Energy. If I find something is off, my energy isn't clicking with you, and I find myself having to try like really hard or to force anything, I'm out. I'm big on energy these days. I am super big on energy these days. Super big. People are looking for avenues, and even professionals, people who are supposed to be professionals, they themselves are involved in discussing your issues with other people. And I've heard stories, somebody said they actually went to somebody, and because they knew they were dealing with somebody, and because the person they went to confiding, who's supposed to be trained and certified, the person, you know, because when you go to a therapist, you put everything out there, you lay everything on the table, names, places, dates, situations, you just lay it out. And apparently she was involved with somebody, and the person that she spoke to knew the person she was involved with, and went back to inform the lady of the person what was going on. It's like people are not, I don't know, it's like, and I would say to people, sometimes, you know what, there are people that I'm no longer cool with, probably people from been hanged, but there are certain things I would not disclose, even though friendship might have gone its own way or whatever, fallen apart, whatever the case might be, or distance, whatever. I believe anything you say to me in confidence, I'll take it to my grave. You see people, as soon as you have a falling out, everything gets dashed out. It's like they were waiting to share your flaws with the rest of the world. Just the opportunity. But it's hard to go through life not trusting anyone. We weren't wired that way. It wasn't supposed to be that way, just to go through life not trusting a soul. Imagine that. That means you're constantly on defense mode. You're in self-preservation mode all the time. You're afraid to tell somebody something. We weren't supposed to be that way. But like I said, self-preservation kicks in, and people be like, you know what? Since I can't trust anyone, I'll keep it to myself. And when you keep it to yourself, it literally eats you up inside. And you have so much to deal with on a daily basis. Then you have depression, and you have all sorts of things to contend with when you're not able to let it out. You don't have an outlet. Every day you keep adding more to it. It's unfortunate, but it's like the way of the world. You know, there's this thirst for relevance that people don't mind dashing you over there just to get a couple laugh, a couple likes. And they couldn't care less how it makes you feel, or how much it stresses or depresses you. It's like almost a game for who could seek relevance more than anybody else. It's rough. So for those of you who actually have people in your life you can confide in, I hope you continue to give God thanks every day for small mercies, because there's a lot of people who don't have anybody. So whether it's a family member, whether it's a cousin, whether it's a sister, whether it's your mother, brother, good friends, consider yourself blessed in this time when it's so hard to find people to confide in and trust. My thing is, if I ever have to tell somebody, listen, what I'm saying to you, please don't repeat, then I should not be telling you. To me, there's certain things that goes without saying. It's not like the person made a public post so everybody have an opinion or can give an opinion on it. If somebody comes to you and I have to say to you, don't repeat what I just told you, maybe I should not be telling you that in the first place. It means I don't trust you if I have to remind you to not repeat what I just told you. So you got to know which category to place people in your life. People you laugh with, you lime with, but you don't disclose your personal business to. If you have to tell somebody, don't say or don't repeat what I just told you, then maybe you should not be telling that person anything. Because that's, to me, that should go without saying. That should just be like natural, like the air you breathe. There's some people, every time you tell them something, hey, don't tell nobody that, hey. If you have to do that, I'm not about to say anything to you. Now back to the young lady in question here, who, boy, when you think you have it hard. And again, sometimes I appreciate Valina says, this subject is hit at home with me. In my case, Aruna, it was my own mother that carried my business. Wow. And you would think that's somebody you should be able to tell any and everything, right? Imagine your mother discussing your business with other people. But this lady says she has a story. And I wish like stories like these, people could share it personally. Like, come on, Aaron. Because this, when I read it, I'm like, geez. There are things I complain about. But this is nowhere close to what somebody's going through. So she basically says that she wanted to share her story with the room. And she says, life is unfair, but as a kind-hearted person, I learned to go with the flow and accept it as it is, even though it brings tears to my eyes. I've been in a 5-year relationship with verbal abuse, emotional abuse, physical abuse, because I have no one to turn to. I was forced and tortured to abort my daughter, which I didn't. Says I'm a sickle cell patient that suffers from epilepsy, which can result in kidney failure. I ended up in a coma being pregnant with my baby. Could have died with no one by my side. This happened due to the dad throwing me out in the middle of the night, the cold, the rain falling. I got wet and was carrying all my bags, nowhere to go, and it triggered my illness. She says, however, I ended up going from home to home, sleeping on the floor and being used by many people. However, it brought me back to the same person that dumped me. I held strong, had my baby. Today I'm held strong and had my baby and went back in the relationship with the man who also impregnated another woman. She says she held strong until she raised enough money to rent her place and she moved out. Can you imagine, she says, I got the place empty and was sleeping on the floor just so I can get a sense of peace and my mind to ease. I was on the road to getting mentally ill. Within 5 years, I have moved 16 times just for peace. She was on the road to getting mentally ill, and within 5 years, she says she moved 16 times. Imagine in this little Grenada moving 16 times. moved 16 times. Just for peace, but then ended up back in the same place. So she took care of her baby, being the best mom she could ever be. The father hardly supported because she stood up and did it herself. And it's only recently that he started giving financial support. But really and truly, she says, I even feel uneasy accepting the money because I am accustomed to doing everything myself. But I accept it because I am struggling to provide on a daily basis. But here comes the dad now playing the best dad of all times and wanting his child to spend time with. I send her anyways, but with tears coming from my eyes, knowing that how this child came into being, knowing that he never wanted her. I risked my life to make this child because I needed a lifeline. I needed company because I have no one. She brings joy to me that I have no problem doing parenting alone, because all I wanted in life was to feel loved, and because I never had it at any point in my life, I love her unconditionally. So she heals everything that I've gone through in my life. Says, can you imagine her dad even impregnated another lady and disowned that baby, and she stood up for that young lady who he wanted to abort her as well, to abort her child as well. But seeing that she knows how that felt, she encouraged her not to. And she kept in contact with her so that her daughter can know her sibling, and they can grow with each other. Says, I'm a healed person, taking it one day at a time, but I still send my daughter to her dad with tears in my eyes because I think it's the right thing to do. I don't regret having my child, but I do regret the guy that is her father. I can't even co-parent because he always verbally abuses me. I stayed away, not saying anything, no communication except for passing messages through his mother. I give advice to people to live on. I even try to motivate people into being great mothers, and also try to be an inspiration to people with my illness because I almost died 7 times, even with no one by my side. But I still need some advice so I can keep strong and keep moving forward. If you were in this situation, what would you have done? And like I said, I had a long conversation with her, so I sort of, commended her for making it this far, still trying to do better given the circumstances. And I applauded her for not being a bitter mother, because we know how it can be when you have situations like this. Father was never present and then suddenly showing themselves up, that mothers can decide, you know what, I made it this far on my own. I don't need you, whether you the father or not the father. I'm not going to allow you to see my child. I'm of the belief that regardless of the circumstances, unless the person is abusive or will be, or will put your child in harm or danger, then they should be allowed to take care of their child. She's no longer with the person. She's now on her own. But I guess dealing with him, still having to deal with him, considering they have a child together, and until that child is old enough when he can speak to the child directly and doesn't really need her as a middleman, she has to have some sort of communication with him, unless she decides to cut him off completely. But like I told her, at the end of the day, you know what? Think about your daughter. It's not just about you, but think about her well-being as well. Like you said, you're not in a position to do everything yourself. You're still struggling to do what you have to do. So anything to make your life easier and your daughter more comfortable, by all means, as long as he's not harming your daughter or putting her in any harm's way. I applaud her for even allowing him to have access to the daughter. She could have cut him off just like that. There are lots of women who do it for even lesser issues, or probably just take the money or whatever they give, but don't allow them to see the child. But allowing him to have a relationship with the daughter, I have to applaud you for that. But there's still the verbal abuse that she has to deal with, because like I said, she can't get away from communicating with him. So it will be hard. But like I said to her, keep your cool. No matter how many times he tries to push your buttons into provoke, how many times he provokes you, keep your cool. Do not engage, do not respond. If it's a question to do with your daughter, something that he has for her, something he needs to do, respond. But anything other than that, do not engage. Do not engage. Someone says she's suffering her own self. Can she not see this? She's choosing the man over and over again. Why? Sounds like she needs therapy. Bad choices and decisions will make the child suffer. Also, get help. And I think that's what she's trying to do, like reaching out. She's trying. But still having to deal with the man will take a toll on anybody. Because I guess he has not gotten to the maturity stage where, all right, we're no longer together, but we have a child in common, so let me take care of my child. So they're no longer together. She's moved, she's living by herself now. Hold on, let me see if I can get back to the part. Let me see if I can get back to the part. Yeah. So she's been doing the back and forth, going back to him every time her back is against the wall and thinking there's nobody else to turn to. So he's like her savior, so she goes back to him. But now she's in a place by herself with her child and no longer with him. But that's the thing about narcissists and people who are control freaks. They always want to be in a position where they can control you. And the minute time you cut loose and decide, you know what, I can do this on my own, I don't need you, they're going to poke and look for ways to stress you or to bait you into having a conversation. Sheena says my opinion is a total opposite on this one. Gotta keep quiet. I'm sure your opinion would be for her to not have anything to do with the set with him, regardless of him being the father or not. Yeah. But how was a man like what? As human beings, we can be terrible. Like there are people who like prey on people's vulnerabilities, and like she said, she has no one. I'm not sure why. What's the situation? Why she doesn't have family or other people she can turn to apart from this man? But like she said, she's been around and people have used her. But why do people take advantage of vulnerable people, especially women? So you get into a relationship with a woman with all these issues plus health issues, knowing full well what her health issues are, throw her out in the night with no care as to where she goes, where she sleeps, in the rain. Plus, like she said, the verbal, the physical abuse, all of that was present. Imagine living your life like that. Like, I can't begin to imagine it. Like, living a life constantly filled with abuse and turmoil and no peace. I'm happy she found the strength to walk away. And I keep saying to people, there is no price you can put on peace of mind. And like she said, when she rented that place, no furniture. She was sleeping on the floor. But the fact that you were sleeping on the floor, there's nobody over your head, talking in your head, stressing you out. Listen, I would sleep on 1,000 floors. People honestly don't realize the importance of peace of mind. There is no amount of money in the world that can take the place of peace of mind. Because you can have all the money in the world and you're stressed, mentally challenged. Money does nothing if you're not at ease up here. So why would you see, and I'm sure she's not the only one, because I'm seeing a couple messages popping up in my box saying, with women saying, if they wasn't sure, they swore they were the ones who wrote those messages, because they've been through or they're going through the same situation. And I saw somebody made the comment, women need to make better choices when it comes to who they choose to be the father of their children. And while that might have some merit, and unless you see somebody being delinquent, unless you know for sure that person is irresponsible, unless you know for sure that person is abusive and yet you did nothing to protect yourself, it's kind of hard, because you're going into a relationship, and like I say, people always go into a relationship and they show their good side, their good face. You swear you found your Prince Charming or your Cinderella. Everybody gives the best version of themselves when you initially meet them. So you let down your guard and you're thinking, yes, I found it. This is my soulmate. This is my happiness and my happy life. But that is all a pretense. When people finally drop the guard and finally get to being who they truly are, by that time, you're 2 and 3 months pregnant. But sometimes you have to take the responsibility on yourself to protect yourself. You're just dating somebody. There are people who just started dating somebody and in the space of 5-6 months, you're pregnant. You don't even know the person like that. So sometimes we have to accept responsibility for some of the roles that we play in situation. We can't just play the blame game and blame everybody else. We have to accept responsibility for the part that we play for your own life. Nobody's going to be responsible for you but you. How do you know of a situation of a man who has another woman running after him up the courthouse step every Monday morning, trying to get maintenance for their children? Knowing he's a deadbeat. And then you turn around and get pregnant, thinking he's going to do right by you because, why? He loves you and you're different. Then he turns around and the same thing that he did to her, he's doing to you. And then you end up in the bitter mama category. As women, we can't continue to point fingers. At some point in time, we have to accept responsibility for some of the decisions and choices that we make. Children aren't easy to mind. We keep bringing children into these unfortunate situations and they're doomed from the start. They didn't even have a chance from the start. So it's just a cycle of struggle, continuing to struggle. Because you being stressed have no energy to even deal with your child or children the way you ought to. Not everybody that you lay with, you need to get pregnant by. Protect yourself. There are a million apps. Download to your phone. Know when it's your safe time. Know when it's not. Stop just making children for any and anybody. There are some men who need mothering themselves. They don't even know what it takes or what it means to be a real stand-up dad and present in their child's life, regardless of how the situation might have panned out with the mother. We can't continue to blame everybody. At the end of the day, like I said, we're all responsible for ourselves. I can't be responsible for you. You can't be responsible for me. I have to be responsible for myself. And there are hundreds of women going through the same thing. And you keep going back and going back. Cycle continue to repeat itself. And before you know it, you're barely 30 years old and you're looking like you're 70 because you're stressed. You can't enjoy your youth. You can't go on dates. You can't go, hey, I feel like going Vinci this week. I feel like going Trinidad. I feel like going in Miami this weekend. You can't do nothing. You have not even begun to live yet and your life already ends because You're so stressed. You're not in a good position yourself to take care of a child. Let me ask y'all this, right? As a woman, sometimes you're not even employed. Brand, yeah, let me pin that comment. That's a good one. She says, well, fast forward, seems like she's now facing reality and choosing growth. There's a lot of lessons here. I took away, my takeaways from this situation has been a lot. But going back to the point, let me ask women this. You are not in a good place to take care of your child, to take care of a child. You don't have a stable job, or maybe you're not employed at all. And if you are employed, maybe it's not enough for another person. It's just enough to take care of you and whatever commitments you have. Right? So if you're not in a position, the man that you're dating is not in a position, he too is struggling. He too may not have, making 5 figures. He too is probably living paycheck to paycheck or no check at all. Just chilling with the boys. But somehow he manages to dress up, smell good, and look nice. You don't know what he's doing, but every time you see him, he drives, he has his own vehicle, but he does not have a 8 to 4 or 9 to 5. But you jump in the front seat and you put your foot up on the dashboard. Go by the gas station and tell the gas man, put $20 in the tank. Nothing can click in your mind to say, I'm not working. I'm not making enough to support a child. He's not doing. So you see me? Let me sort of myself. Let me just make sure how you aren't taking responsibility, because when you get pregnant, you're the one stuck. There are men who impregnate other women and they travel, they gone about their business. They ain't had to pick up no child and go with no child. The majority of the times, women are the ones who are stuck with a child. So if you had intentions, and unless you're disciplined or you have the motivation or the drive to say, you know what, yes, I get pregnant, but let me not make this stop me. I have a good support system. I have grandparents. I have mother, I have uncle, cousin, whatever to help me. I can still go ahead and make something of my life. But these days, grandparents don't have time to be babysitting nobody. Grandparents want to be outside. Like outside having a good time. So then when you have nobody to take care of your child, then you start pointing fingers like the entire world is a cruel place and people don't love people no more and nobody ain't helping nobody no more and, blaming everybody else. Yeah? Have another child or 2 children. Janelle, same thing I'm saying. It's like every time I get to this time, I guess it's like there's a time for me to go. It cuts, the internet just go down. I'm into the soft love stage. I'm sorry. I'm no longer doing the struggle love theme. People need to stop Glory Rider, Die, and Bonnie and Clyde and Hansel and Gretel. No. I'm into soft love. If it's too much, no, we're not doing this. Stop glorifying struggle love and there's no relationship that's perfect. Everybody teeth and tongue means you have your little falling out disagreements. But when you have more of that than of the good times, somebody needs to stop and press the button. I'm getting off here. Knock the bus, let me off. But you have to stay glorifying struggle life. Look at us. We've been through so much. Hello? There ain't nothing to be proud about. There's so much you've been through. 95% of the time was stress. So you're there boosting up yourself and putting up your 2 little pictures and we've been through so... No. I'm doing the soft love. I'm not into the struggle love no more. Where you're putting in more than what you're getting and you're stressed more than you're enjoying your relationship. At some point, we have to take responsibility for the decisions we make because it can have long-term effects. A child is not something you can pick up and put down. Even when they get past 18, they still need you. And if you don't have the support, like I said, it's going to be a long, rough, rocky road. Bumpy as hell. You're never going to know a moment's peace for a long time because you're stressed. You see everybody going out having a good time. Carnival coming up, you can't go nowhere. People throwing up costumes, you can't even buy a costume. Because that little person takes all your time, whatever little coins you have. There's a lot of learned behaviors that we have to unlearn. And that is one of my biggest things. Brent says you have to naturally present the things that complement each other. If it's not there, it's incompatible. Or as the pastors say, unequally yoked. Yeah. We unequally yoked. We in this and making sense. This isn't making sense. So, before we go, again, I'm sorry for every woman that is going through this right now or been through it. And for those of you in it, I pray that you find the strength to choose you, to put you first and realize that you deserve better. And you don't necessarily have to be with somebody to get the better that you deserve. You can do that all by yourself. There's no point staying in a relationship just to say I'm in a relationship or just because of the fear of being alone. Alone and peace than to be together and World War V every single day. Make it make sense. Take responsibility. Choose whoever you plan to have a child for, not because of they have good hair or they have good skin color or they smell good or they own a vehicle. Don't just bring children into these situations. I applaud you for realizing that your peace is more important. I'm happy that you found your peace, and I pray you find greater peace. But like I said to you, be civil. Do not engage in the verbal abuse, in the back and forth, and the confusion. If the conversation when he reaches out is not about your child or the well-being of your child, do not engage, do not respond. There's a lot of you out there afraid to speak up, afraid to seek help. But trust and believe when you find the courage to up and put you first, there's no looking back. It's not easy. It's not an easy thing to do. Change is one of the things we as humans we detest. We rather be comfortable with what we know than uncomfortable with something that might be better. So continue doing your best, continue seeking healing, continue praying, continue reaching out, getting your therapy, and most importantly, take care of you. So in turn, you can take care of your daughter. Take care of you, and then you can take care of her. His final comment, someone says, based on what she said, it seems she doesn't recognize that she's ultimately responsible. Yep, made that point a while ago. You cannot sit around and blame everyone for your problems, especially if you're choosing this person and situation over and over again. We see toxic and run towards it and wonder why we get bruised. Amen. That's it. That is it. We see toxic and run towards it and wonder why we get bruised. You see the man abusive, verbally, physically, but you still end up pregnant. I don't understand the rationale behind it, but hey, sometimes all it takes is a little bit of thought, a little bit of thinking, and a little bit of accepting responsibility. So I applaud her for accepting her part in it, realizing that it was unhealthy, and getting out. I wish the same for anybody else that is in the same situation. And that's my point, Sheena. Reaching out and help is not an easy step. Because like I mentioned earlier on, it's just so hard to find people to confide in and people to trust. But still reach out. Still reach out. Alright? On that note, I'm going to see you guys tomorrow, God's will. We'll reconvene at 11 a.m. in the forenoon. Same time, same place. Thank you so much to our friends at Western Union. Thank you so much. The chat was buzzing today. I have to go back and read some of the comments. I wasn't able to catch up on all. But you can also check my Facebook page. The post is public. So if you want to add, because she's reading. She's reading. If you want to add some encouragement or a word or two, you can check out my post on Facebook and do that. She's in the comments. You know, a little bit of motivation. And people down, you don't need to beat them down further. Let's lift up. Let's build up. Let's support. Let's motivate. Let's inspire. Yeah? So on that note, have a good Wednesday, everybody. Stay powered up. And we'll check back in the room tomorrow, same time, same place.